What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquering Trading and Investing, and we're about to get started for our live stream of the New York session. Let's see. I hope you all had a great weekend. I hope that you got some rest, had some nice time, and are ready for the new week ahead. It looks like we're going to have plenty of opportunity this week. Before we get started, let's look at the calendar this morning because there's still more ahead. We have right now the new president of the ECB, Christine Lagarde, speaking. And then we also have in 1 hour the ISM manufacturing numbers, which should affect the US dollar. We're going to be watching those numbers very closely and see what happens. Later tonight, we also have out of the Australian Central Bank a rate statement. This is really nice to get out of the way because this should open up next day also GDP numbers. This should open up some real direction on the Australian dollar, which has been cloudy over the last couple of weeks. All right, let's get into the charts and see what we have going on this morning. We're going to take a look today. We're not going to start off with the New Zealand dollar, but the New Zealand dollar is actually teeing off really well versus the Japanese yen and the Swiss franc. I have not had a chance yet to get in, but now we could say that we clearly have a breakout. We were waiting for a little bit of direction to know whether or not this was a breakout or was going to get rejected at resistance. And it's clearly a breakout now. Now we're just going to have to show some patience. We'll look at this a little later. There's nothing for us to do right now in this moment. So we'll come back to it and we'll formulate a game plan together. What's going on, everyone? Glad to see you. All right, let's start off with the Euro US dollar. I'm going to bring up my chart with notations. And we've been actually, this is happening quicker than I thought. Right now, we're clearly within this channel that we have right here. And we're trading upwards off of the support down here. In hindsight, that was really nicely played, taking profits down here as we did once I took it actually when Trump signed in the Hong Kong bill. The next day on Friday, we watched this together. We watched the support break and then during the New York session retrace. And now we're back all the way up. We're getting close to where we're looking for a possible short entry. You can see we have the true trend down. We have the entry CCI pulled back against the trend, and we're coming close to this resistance, this upper trend line resistance. We have this resistance, and then we have a little bit of, this is a light resistance marked right here. And then this one's heavier. All right. So what do we do now? Well, the first thing we're doing is we're waiting for this PMI numbers in an hour that's going to greatly affect the US dollar. If off those numbers, we start getting a reversal, we could look to establish a short position as we're getting close to this trend line. We'll wait and see what happens. The only way that I will take an entry would be if a lower low is made on, probably the 8-hour time frame. If price action picks up and it starts getting really volatile out there, we'll reassess during this session. But also of note, I will not take this overnight during the Asian session. During the Asian session, I would place orders if we get traded up around here to go short during the London session. That would be the earliest I would take that trade. So if nothing develops during this session right now, the earliest I will take this trade, if price takes us back in short, will be during the London session. This is one to watch out for, though. This is obviously going to be dependent on what we see here, but we are seeing a possible opportunity developing. I also want to take a look at gold, and it looks like actually gold is kind of weird. Gold is actually holding up. We're seeing the euro strengthen versus the dollar. What about other dollar pairs? I know the New Zealand dollar is the strongest pair going into the session, and the Canadian dollar is the weakest. Let's look at the DXY. Yeah, it's selling off. Yet gold is not making any gains versus the dollar. So you can see gold is really weak versus the dollar right now. That's something to keep in mind, to make a note of. There's nothing here going on right now. I'm kind of in a no man's land. I don't want to even consider a trade on gold right now. If we get closer to this resistance up here, or if we're able to break down. But right now we're just stuck in no man's land. Yeah, let's take a look right now at the, I know we have an election coming up on the pound. It's probably in a holding pattern until then. You could see right now, we'll look at the pound, Japanese yen, and the pound. We looked at these momentarily in the weekly Forex forecast. And the reason being is you could see for the past, what is this, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, price has really just been consolidating. It's not going anywhere. There's no trade here. You don't want to focus on anything that's trading sideways, offering no possibility, no edge. And that's pound right now. This is going to be until this election gets out of the way and there's some type of direction. I'm sorry. If it's clear going into the election what the results might be, you might see a breakout ahead of time. But right now, we're not seeing any movement. All right. We're still seeing this at the top of the range. It is not yet broken out. The thing is not to play the breakout. It's wait for the breakout and then play the pullback, the test of the support. All right. So right now, I'm definitely on the sidelines on pound pairs. I don't see an edge there. What happened to our US dollar, Japanese yen? I took profit early. I took profit on this way down here. I think probably closer to 109, maybe 38. That was after the Hong Kong bill was signed. Price, did come up and hit the target we had in at 109.72. I'm happy taking profit early. It's still a good trade. What happens now? You could see right now a couple of things. All right, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, give you a little bit better of a perspective. You could see that we're right in the middle of this rising wedge channel. You see it? We're right in the middle. Let's look on the 8-hour and pull up the true trend and see what that looks like. All right. Pretty good. All right, we're below this resistance. This is the resistance we used as a line to take profit. Again, I took profit way lower just to get out of the market, lock in all my profits. So do you take an entry right now? Well, you have resistance right above you. Okay. I am not looking to take an entry. I don't want to take an entry where the risk to reward is so small, even though you have entry criteria as far as the true trend positive and the entry CCI pullback. The reason I'm not looking for a buy entry is I don't want to take a buy entry into a resistance level. Okay. I'm going to wait, and the opportunity that will present itself for me is if price is able to trade back towards the support line down here. The closer I get to a support, the better my risk to reward. Those are the trades I'm looking. So right now, we fought over here. We're able to get a nice entry and a nice trade. Right now, this is on the side. We're just waiting and watching what develops. We would have to get a breakout outside of this rising wedge to the upside in order to be considering longs. So right now, I'm just waiting and watching what develops. I'm not worried. I feel like there's going to be plenty of opportunities elsewhere. I'm not going to force the issue where it isn't. Vincent, Raj, you got wrecked. Morning, everyone. All right, so I'm just briefly looking at, again, I'm coming into the session pretty clean. I haven't looked at anything. I'm looking at them with you right now, deciding what's going on. I do see the euro is really has a lot of momentum to it. Interested what happens in the next 15 minutes when we get the PMI numbers right here. And that's for all US dollar pairs, right? Taking a trade right now before those numbers doesn't make any sense. We're going to see if there are any opportunities after those numbers are released, watching what's setting up in the markets right now. I'm just looking at from the higher perspective, the US dollar, Canadian dollar, and I don't see anything at all. Let's get a better view down low and see if there's anything. All right. Possibly we're trading along this trend line over here, right? That's good. That does offer a possible opportunity after these numbers, one way or the other. So let's see. Let's dig in a little deeper. we have this, we have the previous price bar, and currently we're trading inside of it, right? If we break down lower than this previous price bar down here, we're outside of this trend line. Do we take a trade then? What's our risk to reward? Well, let's for example's sake say that we entered the trade down at 0.3272. All right, our risk to reward looks to be about 1-to-1. You see it? You have this trend line over here. You have to look to take profit into that. You have double. No, it's just one. Yeah, it's two support lines. See this blue line down here? That's also a support line. And then you have this trend line over here is support. So you either have to move your stop to break even or take profits right there. I don't really like a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. I'm not going to take it. If we do break down and we get close to this support, trend is still going to be positive. I'm going to be looking to see if we get down towards the support and then bounce off it to the upside to get long. Adversely, we would have to get below here, break this support, and then take out this support for me to get excited about taking any type of shorts. This is not a counter trend trade that I even want to consider. I'm just going to wait and see if we get closer to supports over here to go ahead and get long. So I won't take a short over here. What about another long? Well, let's see. Let's say we get really strong numbers and the US dollar reverses this move and starts picking up some strength this morning. This is definitely a place to consider a long. What does the true trend look like? Yeah, it looks good. I'll be looking over here if we get some strong numbers and start seeing the US dollar reversing. I'm going to come back to the US dollar, Canadian dollar, and I will be considering at that point whether or not there's a trade to put on. But before those numbers are released, I don't want to take a trade. So I'm just going to come back to it. I'm not sure. Let's take a look right now. I'm gonna, before we pull it up, I'm assuming that the New Zealand dollar is just really having its way with the Australian dollar right now. Yep. And you see this pulse move right here, right? So that could be a sign of the end of this move. You are coming into how much support do you have right now? A little bit. Let me look on the weekly chart, just see if I get. Nothing definitive. All right. It was that once this support was broken, this should now be resistance. Let's turn this red. I feel like it's a little too late to play. You see how long we have been oversold in the downtrend. Look at the entry CCI has been pushed down with the direction of the trend. That move's been going on for a really extended period of time. We should definitely see this move looks like it's ending right here. And by ending, I mean, whether it's the next day, 2, 3. So we should be seeing some type of pullback. If we do get any type of test of this broken support, which would be resistance right now, that would be a better place to take an entry towards the New Zealand dollar. But right now, I'd be looking to take profits here. If I were short the New Zealand dollar, Australian dollar, I would not be looking to take a trade with the momentum here right now. This move is definitely overextended. This move is coming to an end. And again, I mean short term. But that's one to watch. That's definitely one to watch if we get any type of retracement there, as well as on other pairs on the New Zealand dollar. I like it, and this is where I really want to focus my attention. And my resources is we're going to take a look at the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen. You can see they're also overextended. So the New Zealand dollar is overbought or oversold versus everything. Okay. And this is okay, even though definitely missed this breakout. It wasn't clear until now. Now it's clear. We had a breakout on the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, and we have a breakout on the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. I'm not worried about it, like as if I missed it or anything. I'm just going to wait for the opportunity for any type of retracement, test of support, and then get back into the trade because this looks like a potentially really good trade. There's a lot of upside over here. There's a lot of room to the upside, uh, collecting a nice spread. It's a good position trade. Now that it's clear that we've broken out, hindsight, it's easy to see that where the best possible entry was, right? But it wasn't in real time. Now we know that we have a clear breakout. What's overhead? So in just 2 weeks, on December 15th, we have the deadline for the US to raise the December tariffs versus China. It looks really like the phase one deal is not going so well in this moment. What's going to happen? And what happens if they do go ahead and raise those tariffs? Obviously, we will see a lot of strengthening happen in the yen. It's still 2 weeks away, right? So that's just something we need to be aware of because that could definitely derail this trade and affect it if we do get into a trade. But gives us plenty of time to manage it. Hopefully, at that point, it's always nice to be in a position of managing a trade that's in profit and deciding what to do with it. But that is a big event that we need to be aware of coming up. All right, New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Someone said there's PMI coming out on the Canadian dollar in just a few minutes. Let's see what we're going on. Again, we have the New Zealand dollar teeing off versus a pair, although we look like we are definitely in the area where you should be taking profit. We're at multiple resistance over here horizontally. It looks like you have either a breakout or resistance over here as well. Can't chase this. You can't chase the New Zealand dollar. You can't chase it. The moves have already happened. You're way overbought and oversold on all pairs on the New Zealand dollar. There's so much momentum there. You don't want to be trading against it either, right? That would be crazy. There's nothing to do. The trades, if you were trading New Zealand dollar, have already occurred. You can't be chasing all this movement here. Okay. Anything that the move has happened, you're in the position of taking profits if you're in any New Zealand dollar trades versus any pair. You need to be looking either where you would moving your stop to lock in profits, or at what level you would be looking to take profits. But those moves are overextended. You don't want to be chasing it. I will wait patiently on all of these pairs to see when there's an opportunity to get in. That's obviously not going to happen today, most likely not even tomorrow. Got to give it some time to reset a little bit. These moves are overextended. I definitely caution against chasing them. We weren't even, I wasn't even following it. All the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. I'm looking now at where was the opportunities to get in. And for me, again, right now, this is just like you could see right now, we're trading up towards this resistance. We're really close to it. There's no trade here to be had whatsoever. If I mean, you might actually even want to a counter trend trade would be buying the pound versus the New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar is definitely again in a position of just being stretched, overbought, oversold. I wouldn't trade it because I wouldn't trade this because I expect the pound not to break out just yet. We're getting closer. This will probably be resolved by the end of this week. But right now, yeah, I mean, this at least provides opportunity. You have the New Zealand dollar, which is again overstretched. You're not trading at the bottom of this channel. This is a possibility here to consider. I don't like it, obviously, but it's one of the more interesting things I've seen today. You got to be really picky. You have to be really picky. You're looking for high probability setups. The fewer trades you take and the ones that are better, the better off you're going to be. The better off your profit and loss is going to be. So you really you really, instead of just getting into a trade to get into the trade, you really want to focus on getting into the ones that you know just have a higher chance of working out. Right. And this is one that obviously, as we get close to this trend line, is one to watch. We could get really strong numbers here. Just in the next 40 minutes. And then we would probably see the resumption of this dollar strength. And then this would be the pair that I would focus in on. Perhaps also the US dollar, Canadian dollar. That one looks good also. And you're also seeing the US dollar showing strength versus the Canadian dollar here this morning. So you can't look to enter anything before those numbers come out on the US dollar. You can only take a look at what is possibly developing. That's interesting. I won't get a chance to even to look at what she had to say. I'm glad, Blair. Thanks for letting us know that they are dovish. What happens though, right? Technically we're trading towards this resistance. I think it's going to come down to the next catalyst is going to be those ISM numbers. Weak numbers, let's plan ahead. Let's say we get some really weak numbers and the euro is able to break out of this channel, right? Do have some overhead resistance pretty quickly. So I'm not going to take the initial breakout. There's no way I'll take a breakout to the upside. If we get rejected by this resistance, I will look to take a trade this way. It's a pretty good risk to reward ratio to our first area of support already. We wouldn't take profits here. We would just reassess at this point anyway. We would be looking and hoping for a breakdown. But to the upside, I would not take this breakout over here. What I would do is obviously wait for a test, see if this support holds, this broken resistance, and then I would be looking to take the trade. Just letting everyone know on the numbers themselves, a breakout over here, I'm standing aside and waiting. And if we do get that break, I'll be looking, as the true trend also will be turning for the place to get long, but it won't be on the break itself. And I am interested anyway what she had to say, just so I have an idea. I don't know what's in store for the euro US dollar longer term, bigger picture in this upcoming year. There is talk of stimulus in Germany. This could really provide some type of reprieve in the move. We have obviously President Trump doing everything he can to fight the Fed and get them to lower rates, which looks like him just continually escalating the Chinese trade war. It's possible, right? If we get any opportunity, if we get to trade up on the euro US dollar long term, whether it's we get to test 1.14, or if we're able to get as high as this would be a gift, 1.75. These will be fantastic opportunities for long-term shorts. I have to think, I don't know. I have to think it's possible we close this gap down here when Macron was elected, and we could trade substantially lower long-term. Anyway, we'll take it as it comes. Myanmar, what's going on? Great to see you. Oh, Australian dollar, US dollar. We have to check out all those pairs. I think we're going to be seeing some setups coming up. All right, so we do have, we do have the Central Bank of Australia having a rate decision later this evening. And then we also have GDP numbers tomorrow. There's a couple of hot events, but after that's out of the way, even the rate announcement out of the way, we're going to be looking for direction in trades. Okay. Right now, with the big rate decision this evening, we're not looking to take any positions, but I want to start watching them. It's nice that we're coming close up top to this double resistance, the resistance over here, the red line, and this one up here. Again, this is really depending on what's going on also with the US dollar right now. Just trying to get some type of awareness of what I'm going to be looking for in the coming days. And nothing's really screaming right now. Interesting that the Australian dollar is, I guess, New Zealand dollar the strongest. Australian dollar must be the second strongest. Okay. There's nothing jumping out at me being, saying to me, hey, look, we have some opportunity. But we have to keep watching it over the next 24 and 48 hours, because I do believe after getting those impact news events out of the way, that there can be some direction for us to take advantage of on the Australian dollar, which has been untradeable for the last couple of weeks. All right, so the big thing we're waiting for right now, we are about 3 minutes away from the US equity markets opening. We should see a little bit of continuation of these moves that we're seeing developing right now. But again, we're 30 minutes away from the manufacturing PMI numbers. Those are big numbers that could change the direction or give it even more momentum. Whether or not we're going to have a break out above this trend line this morning, I believe is going to be dependent on those numbers. If we do have a reversal, we could look to take some shorts. Now, what happens here? Let's say we got really strong PMI numbers. We're at this resistance right here. Are we going to wait all the way down here to get short? Absolutely not. If we start, let's look at the 4-hour, see what that looks like for a moment. Just trying to look where my spot would be to go ahead and look. So for me, it's going to be largely dependent on what those numbers are. If they're a big beat, being that we're at resistance, which means that my stop loss, is going to be really tight. You could put, the numbers are a big beat. I would and will look to take a position just off the numbers alone. I'll take a short position off the numbers alone with a stop loss of about 15 pips above where we are right now, at about 1.105455, because I have almost a 1 to 2.5 risk to reward right until we get down to the support that we're testing, and at that point I'll be assessing the trade. So because of the fact that we're trading at this resistance right now, or near it, if the numbers were a big beat, I would take that risk, that type of trade. I'm not going to wait for price to come all the way down and trade lower. If the numbers come in, pretty much in line, then we're going to watch price action and see what happens. Take my time on it, or I'll just reassess. We would have to get below really 1.1027 around that area to be looked to get into that trade safely. We would need some wiggle room to the upside and downside. We'll watch what happens. We'll see what the numbers are, and we'll take a look at it then. The only thing I have to preemptively plan, if it was a pretty big beat, that's when I would look to enter the market short at market. Jeff, good afternoon. Oh, we haven't taken a look at the euro Japanese yen or the Canadian dollar Japanese yen. This looks good so far. What we're seeing is price being rejected by this resistance up here. Again, we're kind of, until we get above this resistance at this point. At that point, we reassess, look for a test of the support. There's a lot of room to the upside. Alternatively, we're just waiting now as price is near this resistance. If it'll come back down, we have double support down here, this trend line and this support line over here, both offering support. And that's a nice place to look for an entry if we get down lower over there. I assume it's a similar picture. No, the euro is breaking out nicely here against the Japanese yen. Okay, so over here, what I'm looking for, let me look down on the 8-hour, is now that we have a breakout here. Anyone who's stuck with that position, awesome, kudos. I'm looking here now just for this entry CCI to pull back. That will be in line with this broken resistance, which is now support being tested. So this is one to watch. This is definitely one to watch. Obviously, depending on what happens with the euro, overall is going to affect this one. But we're seeing, as Blair pointed out, those dovish comments by Langard. And I'm here now waiting as my entry CCI has been overbought for that breakout of this resistance. As price comes back and tests it, I will look for a long position this week. That's one to definitely be focused on and watching for a re-entry into that trade. Yeah. So Jeff, there's nothing going on. Don't worry if you're just joining us. Anyone, we just had the U.S. equities open in about 20 minutes, 27 minutes. We have the PMI manufacturing numbers out of the U.S. There's really nothing to do before then. I am watching. Well, this is, as everyone just saw, one to be watching coming up. But here we're watching the euro-US dollar coming and taking a look at this trend line right now. Obviously, the PMI numbers, if they are a big miss, could give this the momentum to carry through and break this trend line. We're not looking to play any type of long in that situation, but watch and wait then for the breakout and then possible test of the broken resistance, which should be support, and then look to get in. Taking a trade over here with you have resistance right above a head is not a good risk to reward ratio. You just need to wait. If we're rejected, we're going to have opportunities to the downside for sure. US dollar looks pretty strong versus the Canadian dollar this morning, which means if we get positive numbers, you should see this resume off this support over here out of this channel. That's a good pair to focus in on if the numbers are strong with a nice beat on the dollar. So those are the two pairs that I see with immediate plays happening this morning. I'm not looking if they're weak numbers to play this to the short side, although, there is opportunity. Depends when you get into the trade. Depends how bad the numbers are. If they're mixed, it's hardest to trade. Just show a little patience. Again, wait for the trades to come to you. Do not chase after the trades. we have seen clear evidence now of the breakout versus the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, and the Japanese yen. Okay, those look like trades that I'm not in them. There was no possible place for me to get in them. I was waiting to see if it was indeed a breakout. Now I could definitely say it's clearly a breakout. I'm not going to chase after price, which is definitely way over bought in both cases. I'm just going to wait and see if later in the week or at whatever time there's an opportunity to get long those pairs. There is the possibility that they have some room to roam to the upside. Again, December 15th, the due date of the tariff increase is a big deal to watch. I'm going to pull this chart up ahead of time and get the euro US dollar pulled up on here. I'm interested also what Christine had to say. If you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. Glad that you are here. It's good that you're here. We have been doing this now going on a month tomorrow. We're starting to develop a nice community here. I really enjoy everyone. I believe that everyone is definitely learning a lot. I believe in a short amount of time, within a week or two, you could really get a feel for what we're doing and it really change your trading forever. Everything is shared freely here. And it really is a good thing. I'm glad that you're here. All right. Once again, the charts really price everything in. We have about another 22 minutes until the PMI numbers. We are at this critical point over here. Probably I want to take a look at the DXY. You could see that is all as the euro US dollar is trading at that upper resistance of that channel. You could see also down here, the DXY is now trading down at this support. Okay. So if we break through, and the catalyst should be, I mean, there is of course the possibility that this momentum just picks up before those numbers come out. But it looks like if we do get any more further momentum, we're definitely going to be coming into this blue zone down here that should provide the euro with a look at, I would say, this resistance line up here at the very least, if not higher, as we saw the spikes up over here. All right. So if there's a big miss on those numbers and we see a lot of momentum here, there's going to be opportunity to get into the trade. I'm not going to take it initially. The only trade that I will take will be strong PMI numbers, and we get this line, this resistance line holds, and price is rejected by it. I'll also look to the US dollar, Canadian dollar, because the US dollar has been stronger versus the Canadian dollar today. So if we see US dollar strength pick up, then I expect that we're going to see that really translate here first. And we could get a nice look above here at this overhead resistance and see what happens. Most Australian dollar, I don't know, I think we've looked at it. Let's look at it right now. So Australian dollar, you have to be very careful. You have later this evening a rate decision announcement out of the Central Bank of Australia. So you don't want to be taking any positions on the Australian dollar until that's out of the way. Tomorrow you do have GDP numbers also out of Australia. So you have two really big high impact news events. Not the time to be looking to take a position, but because of the Chinese PMI numbers, which came in better than expected, if you believe them, and also now the central bank getting out of the way, it looks like we could have the opportunity to take some positions coming up on the Australian dollar after getting all these high impact news events out of the way. But right now, you just want to stand aside with any type of rate decisions by a central bank on the horizon. Hey, Maru, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Sincerely. Thank you so much. The central bank is considered to be on hold. It's more about what they say in the statement, right, than the actual. If the market's expecting they're going to be on hold, it's absolutely more about what they say in the statement. And then you can see here, you have GDP numbers out of Australia the following day. Market's really focused right here right now on these manufacturing numbers coming out at the top of the hour. And we're seeing technically, we're seeing the US dollar at the next important resistance level. You're seeing that play out on the DXY, on the Euro US dollar. Have we checked even on the Australian dollar US dollar? We got resistance above. Again, the closer we get to this resistance over here and this resistance over here, the better an opportunity to get short this pair if it starts resuming downwards. But right now, you just need to be on the sidelines waiting for that central bank announcement. I'm focused myself on the Euro US dollar and the US dollar Canadian dollar. Those are the ones that I'm watching this morning to see if there's any opportunity. You can see too, is really, really neat as we get towards, as we broke down out of this channel over here, you see the true trend turned. And now that we're getting close to a breakout over here, if we do break out to the upside, you're going to see the true trend cross again. It's really nice when you're seeing the confirmation on the support and resistance, as well as on the true trend always occurring. Yeah. So the question is, isn't it better to study what's happening on the charts than the news events? And yes and no, both. I'm a technical trader. I'm always looking and trading off the charts. At the same time, if you're not aware of what's happening on the calendar, you're taking a huge edge away from yourself. For example, if you saw that, like, let's pretend you had no idea the PMI numbers were coming in at the top of the hour and you were just trading off the charts. And let's say in the next 15 minutes, you get a breakout above this trend line. And so you take the trade unaware that you have PMI numbers coming in the next 15 minutes. And then those numbers come in with a really strong beat. You'll be taking out of that trade right away. It is an absolute necessity in foreign exchange trading to always be aware of the calendar. Same thing we just talked about on the Australian dollar. No matter what's happening technically today, when you have such a high impact news event in the cards tomorrow or later today, during Asia, you don't want to take any trades, no matter what's showing up technically at the moment on that pair. All right, you're looking to take as few trades as possible with the highest probability, which means you're looking to take trades off of support and resistance. You're looking to take trade, buying off the support, selling off of resistance, outside of breaks of trend lines, inside of channels. But you're doing this around the calendar. It just increases your profitability. And primarily, of course, I'm a technician. I'm always looking at the charts and trading off the charts. And I pulled up the orange news events just to I couldn't find the Canadian PMI. I only look at high impact news events. And out of the high impact news events, you'll see on the weekly Forex forecast, I only pick the important ones. right? So I was focused in on the ISM. I was focused in on the manufacturing PMI out of China. And what else are we focusing on later in the week? That was it. The Australian central bank rate statement. Nothing. Of course, this one I think was noted as we want to make sure to see that the service sector is not coming off. That's really important as far as the U.S. economy is concerned. But nothing else really on the calendar. Non-farm payrolls has not really been a number the market has been keying off of. Always important to be aware of the calendar and the most important risk events. Raj, thank you. Appreciate that. Again, if we do see strong numbers, a strong beat on the PMI, look to see what happens here because we're trading on support right now on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. And if we get a resumption upwards, we have a nice look here at this resistance to make our next move. Also, I do like how the euro US dollar is also trading right now at this resistance of this trend line and testing it. So if we get rejected, we'll look for it. It's a little strange to me that gold is not really making any type of gains today with the weaker dollar. I'm not really sure how to formulate that or understand why. To me, I see a lot of risk coming up in the next 2 weeks as far as the U.S. and China are concerned. It seems to me that the phase one is falling apart, but we're seeing New Zealand dollar really, which is affected by the trade war greatly. It's kind of a barometer. We're seeing a lot of we're seeing that really teeing off right now. So it's a little bit of confusion. It's not a very clear picture what's going on for myself. We'll be working that out as more things develop. No, I mean, Blair, I don't have any understanding of what is going on with the New Zealand dollar. The only thing I can say is over the past few weeks, as we've noticed, and it's really culminating right now, that the New Zealand dollar was definitely stronger than the Australian dollar, and against Japanese yen, against the U.S. dollar, and this led us to believe that if there was any type of resolution in the trade war, or at least like an immediate ceasefire with a phase one deal, that the New Zealand dollar would be the one benefiting the most. But I'm having trouble understanding why we're seeing the movements we're seeing on the New Zealand dollar. And again, I guess that's because of, and I could be wrong, that's because of my preconceived notion of what's happening right now. Maybe it's because we're going to see some type of positive resolution in the next couple of weeks. For example, that we're not going to see the December tariffs raised, and we're going to see some type of phase one deal, and maybe the market's already pricing that in. It's difficult for me because I don't see that. Then that's where the money's made. The money is made taking the side of the position that the least people are on. So it's definitely never easy, which is why we really just wait and pick our setups. The euro, Japanese yen, this looks nice, right? If we get a retest of this support down here and it holds as price then resumes upwards, that's a good trade to take. That's a high probability trade. You're right. The Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, right now it's being rejected by that resistance. The closer I get down to the support, I like that trade. It gives me a good risk to reward. The trades that I want to take are the clear ones, right? If we're rejected here, that's pretty clear. We're rejected now at this resistance, right? That's why we spoke about this. I guess it was on Thursday or Friday of last week, why we were not looking to take this signal right here. You had the entry CCI pulled back against the trend, and then it was resuming. But I said we were too close to the support level. We don't want to take a trade with such a low risk to reward, right? And it wound up not working out. But the reason why we didn't take it was because of the risk to reward. I was talking about this, I think, with Raj earlier. A 47% win ratio with a risk to reward of a 3-to-1 is phenomenal trading. That's all you need, period. You're not looking to take many trades. You're looking to take the good trades. And by good, meaning they're technically sound and they're offering a good risk to reward, because that's all you need to succeed in this. That is exactly what you need to succeed in this. We're about 9 minutes away. We're about 9 minutes away from those numbers, just to be aware. Paul brought up the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Again, I mean, what I'm seeing initially, just looking at this chart, all New Zealand dollar pairs are definitely either really overbought or oversold. And Paul, what I see right now is us trading directly at a resistance level, right? I see us boom, boom, support, support. There, the support broken, retested as resistance, and now we're back up at it right now. So what does that mean? Well, it means two things to me. If you're crazy, right? If you're really aggressive and we get really strong PMI numbers, you could come in and you could trade off of that trade right now as price is up at that resistance. I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to do that. But if we clear this, then we have plenty of time on the retest to go ahead and get long, right? That's what we're watching here. Alternatively, if we are rejected here, that gives us much better luck at an opportunity to get long this trade as well, right? You see that right now we're really, really overbought, really overbought. And usually when you get overbought to that levels, although overbought and oversold could stay that way for a long time, usually price comes off, right? And we're at a resistance right now. So if we come off this resistance, then we're going to look for when we could get long again. That's a good opportunity to get long. Also, if we break out to the upside here, okay, then within the immediate future, whether it's day 2 or 3, we'll have an opportunity to look to get long on the retest of this broken resistance will then be support. Okay, really good point. Except yes and no. You could get lucky by doing that, by taking a trade. That's a super risky, aggressive trade you're taking. Most likely, a tight stop loss is going to get taken out. The thing there is that you're just over trading and you're taking too many trades, and that gets reflected in your PML, your profit and loss in your account. You're not a profitable trader overall if you do that. You're looking for you're just looking for a big win, and it's not smart. I want you to trade smart. That's what I really want to impress upon you, and get you there really quick. Within a few weeks, I'll get you there just by watching what we're doing and how we're doing it, because you're gonna, you'll see what's developing. You'll then take a trade that develops, and you can be like, wow, that really works. And although all the trades are not profitable, because of our favorable risk to rewards and taking the good trades, you will end up being profitable. So although you could get lucky, you have a big market number coming out in 5 minutes. You have price trading at resistance levels or supports right now. So you're at a critical juncture. Definitely don't do that. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for. We're here to build each other up, to help each other, and and again, that means investing a little bit of time, a little bit. Again, you could get really up to speed. I think in a really short amount of time, whether it's a week or two, either which way, to all of a sudden be seeing things clear with like different open eyes. That's invaluable. That's what's going to happen. So stick with us. That could go either way, right? If you I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about with the 15 pip stop loss. Are you talking about the euro US dollar where I said if we get really strong numbers and if we get really strong beat here on the PMI numbers, for example, if we came in at like 52 or above, at that point, I would take a market order on the euro US dollar short with like a stop loss at 1.1055. Okay. It's about 12, 15 pips from where we are right now. And yeah, at that point, I have my stop loss in. I don't have a take profit in at all. What would happen is if the trade went in my favor and if we were able to test down at this support, at that point, we'll reevaluate the trade. We'll watch what price does at this support. Does it stall out? If it starts stalling, I'm going to move my stop to break even right away. And then if it starts retracing, I'll take the profit. But if it breaks through, then I'm going to be holding that trade and looking what happens down here at this support. Yeah, so over the weekends, you could get gaps in foreign exchange where if you have a stop loss in, your stop loss won't be triggered until the market open as prices past it. You're not going to get any type of gap right now that's going to, during the volume that we have right now in the markets, that's going to, if you have a stop loss in, that's not going to be hit or reached. Over the weekends, absolutely. So we'll look at the DXY after these numbers comes out, probably in like 5-10 minutes, just after things settle down and see what's going on. We're about 1 minute away from these numbers right here. So it looks like we got a miss on the numbers. So there's no action for me to do right now. Again, I'm going to be waiting and see what happens. If we break through here, I'll look what happens off of the next resistance above. We'll look at that in a little while, but it looks like these numbers were a miss. Yeah, little miss. All right, so that's good. There's nothing to do or worry about. What's happening on the US dollar, the Canadian dollar? We're breaking down here, maybe. That would be a highly aggressive play. I'm not looking to do this at all. I'm just assuming right now that this might provide the opportunity if we get this current weak dollar going on, that we're going to get a, hopefully a look down here to see if we could get a long off of this double support. Right now, we expect to take a look at up here on the US dollar. We expect it's going to hit towards this resistance up here. We'll see if it breaks through. We'll see what happens. We're not looking to go long right now. We'll see the true trend will be changing over to the upside though as we break this resistance level. And if we get a test of support down here anytime in the next day or two, that gives us another opportunity to look. But right now there's nothing to do except wait. Again, gold is not really making the gains on the weak dollar that everything else is, so my mind is telling me, okay, if because of these, if the weak dollar does persist now and we get a look at this resistance level, that might be a really good place to short gold, depending on how price reacts off there. Because if this weak dollar reverses in the next week or so, next days to week, then gold might be leading on the way down. All right. So I'm kind of just ingraining that into my mind. Yep. And Blair, that absolutely. I just want to really affirm what you're saying there because that's good information for everyone. Always wait for the news to get out of the way. And of course, we're technical traders, but you have to be aware of news events. You're trading foreign exchange. And that's why right now you want to be very careful about any Australian dollar pairs. You have big news coming out later this evening. The DXY, let's take a look at that now. The question is the DXY possibly forming a double top, and would that be a double bottom on the euro? All right. This is the double top being looked at then. So right off the bat, I don't think so. Why do I say that? Well, I would be it would be really interesting as an exercise to look at the technical analysis encyclopedia and double tops and to know how often they hold. I believe a double top would be much more effective actually at the top. For example, if price were to come up and trade, 99.67 and then put in a double top, I wouldn't call a double top in the middle of a range as being so effective. But what I'm seeing here is possibly we're at another key level to look at what's going to happen right now as we're down here. On the Euro US dollar, I want to look at them both together. Is that a double bottom? Again, it's not really a bottom. It's in the middle of a range. It was definitely support though, right? And we recognized the support, which is why profits were taken over here. And now I think, and good question, right? Really good question and really worth exploring. I really think the most effective way to focus on this and trade this though is coming back down towards our 8-hour, our moneymaker, where we're really focused. This really helps. This helps you not get really whipsawed around as 4-hour, if anyone has traded the 4-hour knows there's lots of false signals. You get chopped up in there. The 8-hour provides a better buffer versus those price fluctuations. And I think it's better, instead of looking at this double bottom, which, possible is look at this play, and that's this trend channel that we have. And we see that broken right now, right? We see the break of this resistance, and we see the true trend turning positive. And we see now what we expect is probably going to happen is price will stall out either right around here at this resistance level, or right over here where it did with these wicks over here. And then it's going to come off, and then we're going to look to get long. We're going to look to get long when the entry CCI comes back down here on this new uptrend, on this new break of this resistance. At that point, price is probably testing support. As price gets us back into the trade, we're going to get long. Nice and easy, nice and safe, high probability, low risk, and a good reward. And then again, also, if price comes up here and winds up taking out this resistance above here, same thing. Okay, we'll just wait for it to come back and test it. And then if price resumes up, we'll get in. It's just taking those safe trades as they develop are the ones that's going to put you ahead. And you're much better off taking 3 trades a week than 20. You're much better off. What's going on the Euro Japanese yen? This move should be continuing. It's not, though. All right, so here I'm waiting for price to come down and test this breakout of this resistance, which is now support. My entry CCI will be pulled back down, letting me know I'm not chasing after momentum. And sometimes momentum over here, like it could go, but more often than not, if you chase price, as you enter the trade, all of a sudden it's going against you. So what I'm doing is I'm just waiting here. This is a trade that looks like it's developing. This is the one that I want to be watching. Alternatively, on the Euro US dollar, we know what we want to happen. We're waiting. What's going on in the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen? Good. This is what we said. The closer we get down towards this support, the better. This looks like a good trade also. All I want to do, and why is it a good trade? We're trading out of this channel, right? Price is in this channel right now, and we're trading off of the support now. We're looking for longs until the channel breaks. Trade deal falls apart. The channel is broken. We're jumping all over, long yen trades. Right now, we expect this is going to hold. The closer we get down to this green support and this support, the better our risk to reward. So this is a trade that is playing out. This is one that we want to be focused on. The Euro Japanese yen, it's another one. Just waiting. This is going to take a little bit of time for us to get in now, but now we know we're going to be looking for longs next, right? We're not looking for longs now on the breakout because we're coming up towards this resistance. We're overbought. We're waiting. Yes, absolutely. But it's kind of like impulse, pause, reset, go with that trend. It's not like impulse, follow the impulse. You get whipsawed back and forth, right? If you ever tried to chase momentum before, you get whipsawed back and forth. It's like as you enter the trade, now you're taking a loss. So impulse, pause, reset, get back in towards the trend. Let's take a look at oil. Is anyone focused on any other Canadian dollar pairs other than the US dollar? Again, here, I mean, you have right now the weak dollar in play. The Canadian dollar so far seems to me to be also, if not, maybe even weaker than the US dollar, uh, as the US dollar is still stronger than it on the day. If all of a sudden you start seeing Canadian dollar strength pick up, again, I would just look that as an opportunity to wait to see if you got closer to this support line, and then trade back with the trend, which is currently up. So this goes on the watch list, much with the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, and the euro, Japanese yen, as a pair that looks like it's getting close for me to providing an entry. Or if we never break down here and all of a sudden you start seeing that dollar weakness reverse, then you have an opportunity to the long side here. It does look like after this sharp move down on Friday that oil is stabilizing a little bit, but I think the play is going to be, if you get any type of retest up here, to perhaps look at a short. Let's look at the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. So the only thing about the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar is that you do have the Australian central bank rate decision later today, and although they're expected to be on hold, you're going to have, of course, whatever their statement is, their forward-looking guidance is going to really affect the pair. You're trading right now towards a very minor resistance up here. Price is trading right up at it. Again, the Canadian dollar is weak. The Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar are the strongest today. We're really seeing that risk on, risk off. And, you know, the better trade for me is if we get up higher, closer to here. That looks interesting once you get towards here. A breakout above looks like a long-term play. And any test over here, longer term, it looks like this might be a good shorting opportunity. But right now, there's nothing to do. You said the trend is changing. Yeah. So that's confusing then if I'm like, why would you short towards this resistance up here? But I would. There's longer term resistance up here. We're in a nice downtrend. It's pretty strong resistance up there. And although they're true, I don't trade off of the true trend off of zero line crosses like that on the daily. I look for my support resistance on the daily, and then I trade around it on the 8-hour. If you were trading the simple and profitable strategy that uses the 333 BTC period true trend, obviously you wouldn't have a zero line cross here. All right. Again, right now it's Australian dollar. You have big news coming out on it. You just want to be on the sidelines right now. We could take a better look at it tomorrow, and then also the following day after the GDP numbers, and then maybe we'll have some interesting opportunities across the board on the Australian dollar. Pound Australian dollar, I think we're gonna, so on the pound in general, pound US dollar, pound anything, it's basically sideways price action for 5-6 weeks, waiting for this next election that's coming right up now before you have any type of resolution. You don't want to be trading pairs that are sideways. We want to be trading pairs that are moving. And you also, again, have some big numbers coming out later today from the Australian Central Bank. So you don't want to be focused here yet. That both these pairs have me on the sidelines in this moment, both the pound and the Australian dollar. You need to find out what's going to be what's happening with the next move of the pound before you could really get involved in something. And, you know, longer term, we're seeing the New Zealand dollar break out. Is the Australian dollar next? Is that going to follow? If it is, you know, and depending on what those election results are and what happens, there's too much uncertainty. I would be waiting to find out some type of resolution, what's going to happen next with the pound, and same thing with the Australian dollar. Soon, but not yet. Blair, we're going to come back to that in 1 second. In 1 second. So this looks good. Again, this is where we got long on the US dollar. We were looking for that right where price hit earlier today to take profits. I took profit over here at, once Trump signed the Hong Kong bill with the uncertainty just to get out of the market. Right now, we are coming back down towards this trend line over here. The closer we get, there will be another opportunity then to possibly get long. It's not yet. I have to be honest. At this point, look at this rising wedge that we're in here. I think the plays on the euro Japanese yen and the Canadian dollar Japanese yen are offering better opportunities right now than the US dollar Japanese yen. I like the room that we have over here. If we're able to get long over here, our first decision comes over here. What do we do? How does price react around this resistance? There's just more room. The US dollar Japanese yen right now, although we will look at it the closer we get to the lower end of this rising wedge, and we have the support over here. So we have double support, this support line over here and this support line over there. And the closer we get to it, we will take another look at it to see if we go long. We're not looking to go short this pair unless this support line is taken out. That will be on this rising wedge pattern, also failing. And then that, of course, becomes a beautiful trade to the short side. That's not happening yet. And until this breaks, we have to assume it's going to hold. So we're just getting closer to a possible entry, long entry setting up within the next day or two or three on the US dollar Japanese yen, but not yet. Not yet. You could see a lot of trades developing. You could see a lot of trades developing, whether it's the euro US dollar, gold long term, Canadian dollar Japanese yen, US dollar Japanese yen, euro Japanese yen, Canadian dollar Japanese yen. So there's a lot of trades, US dollar Canadian dollar. There's a lot of trades developing. We just need to wait for them to develop. We need to wait for the market to come to us and then take a look. Now, New Zealand dollar, Blair was saying, is it possible that had anything to do with what we were looking at? I forgot. Hold on 1 second. I remember going into the meeting, we were looking at this closely. Now, the market was expecting a rate cut. And what we did in our analysis, we said, okay, the market's expecting a rate cut, but we believe after the rate cut, the central bank is going to tell everyone they're going to be on hold for a while. And we should start seeing some appreciation. That didn't happen. They didn't even cut. They just said that they're going to be on hold for a while. And yes, Blair, that is excellent reasoning and logic to where that New Zealand dollar strength has been coming from since. I was definitely earlier today saying that I have no idea. Thank you for that. How much longer that, until when is that priced in? I don't know. All we could do is trade it technically at this point. We are getting a breakout now above this resistance here. Let's change this. Again, every New Zealand dollar pair is way overbought or oversold. What we need to do is wait. Excellent insight. And that's, getting back to it, that's exactly what we're doing here. That is the strength of working together like this. I have to be honest, primarily, this provides excellent this is an excellent resource for myself by going over all these charts together with you and explaining them from the teaching perspective I do. It really helps my analysis. And then at the same thing I've said from the very beginning, my desire is really to build everyone up, because then you would get much more back and forth of people bringing things to the table. Iron sharpens iron, makes us all stronger. Hey, I appreciate all the insight from everyone. Right? I mean, is it clear to see it, well, from what we're looking at this morning? We could see setups developing. What we're doing is we're perceiving what's going to happen and being there to take advantage of it when it happens. Could someone have taken off of these strong numbers a trade over here? Yeah. If that's your style of trading, you had about 10 to 15 pips of profit in there that you could have took a trade for. What's your risk to reward then? Is your stop loss 5 pips? It's really stressful, difficult trading that is not as profitable as stepping back, looking at the daily, looking for support, resistance, chart patterns, and then trading off those as the entries occur. I'd rather take my time here and wait for a trade. Right now, I'm waiting for either this resistance to hold or price to hold up near these wicks over here and then retrace backwards. I'm going to wait for my entry CCI to stop being oversold, but kind of pause and reset in this new uptrend that seems to be developing on this break that we were watching. And then I'll look to get long the first impulse back. Does anyone else see any other opportunities that we haven't covered that we should be taking a look at together, or possibly what looks better anyway, right? New Zealand dollar, US dollar, or the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, or Japanese yen. I personally am going to be looking at either the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, or the Swiss franc, or both of those, just in case this continues. I'd rather be with the swap here. These could be turn into be position trades. Forward thinking, especially if those December tariffs are not put in place. If we see any type of like ceasefire, we could see the New Zealand dollar still continue to go and appreciate much further, and to have a nice position trade. I know normally we're not taking position trades. We're taking more swing trades, shorter term trades. But if a position trade presents itself, like appears to be happening, then this could be, just something that turns out to be a nice surprise for the long term. But the entry will be on a swing trade with the normal risk to reward of a swing trade. Yeah, that's the UK closes around the time that we end our live streams almost every day. Sometimes 15, 20 minutes past, but more or less. It's possible to enter a trade then. So generally what I'm looking for on my trade entries is always, let me just give you an example here. Okay, this is the euro Japanese yen. And let's say we come back down. Okay, this is not going to happen during New York, but let's say we come back down during Asia, and we put in a down price bar that comes all the way down to the support or near the support. So you picture in your mind now a red price bar. I would look to enter that trade during London. I would place my trades, sometime before the London Open, before I went to bed, and it would be at the previous high of that down price bar, so that during London, if price were to go ahead and to make a higher high off of the support than the previous price bar, I would enter that trade. If this was occurring right now, there's no example to show you right now why I would enter past the London close. But for example, if I could give you a, maybe on this one, we're at support right now here on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. I'm not looking to trade it. If I were, and my entry was going to be on coming off support, making a higher on the 8 hour than the previous price bar, and that occurred during let's say 2 hours or 1 hour before New York close, which are high percentage trades. They do work out. It's possible I could enter that trade. The only session that I do not take new entries on, over 95% of the time, is Asian, is because those trades tend to not work out and to provide false signals even on the 8 hour. So I don't take entries during Asia, but at any time during New York or London, it is open. I think so. I have that gut feeling that this week is going to offer some nice opportunities for us. It could be like, what happens if price keeps going? Well, I'm not going to chase it. Okay. I'd rather a trade get away from me, even on the New Zealand dollar pairs. I was waiting to make sure we had a breakout, it was clear that we had a breakout, and then look for an opportunity to get into them. Well, now it's clear we have a breakout. Now I need to wait for the opportunity to get into them. But the worst thing that could happen is I'll never chase it, and I never got in. Right? Price doesn't tend to go straight up or straight down ever. But if it were to keep rising, I never got into it. Well, then I just never got into it. I'm going to look for the opportunities that I know have a good risk to reward and a high probability of working out, and take those trades. I make way more money picking my setups than I do chasing after things. Same thing right here. The worst thing that could happen to me is I just never get a chance to get into this trade. But if we do clear even up here, once we clear this resistance to the upside, I'm going to get a pullback eventually. And look how much room I have. There's never a rush is what I'm trying to get at. By waiting, predators, what do? They pick their prey. They wait for the right opportunity and then pounce. But it looks like it looks like even in the next 24 hours, we might have opportunity. I see lots of things progressing towards new possible entries. This is one of them right here. We're coming down. We have the trend positive entry CCI, oversold in an uptrend as we're heading towards two supports, right? This looks good. So this is something that I could potentially, foresee possibly happening during London. If this continues downwards, the rest of New York and into Asia, and then if price were to resume upwards in London, I would be taking a long here off this double support. Of course, I like this one better right now. This looks healthier. Any type of pullback into the support will be a better trade. Same thing with US dollar, Japanese yen. We're coming closer to that support. What does that look like on the DXY right now? Coming into towards this support zone, this blue area is a support zone, and that's coinciding with what's happening on my charts as well, right? So also on the US dollar, Japanese yen, right? If we continue now down through New York and into Asia, make a successful test off the support and start trading upwards, Those are really good. Those are really good entries that I'll be looking for. Really solid trades. Lots of them developing right now. And again, I'm not taking any type of counter trade to the downside now. We've broken out of this trend line on the euro US dollar. I'm looking for longs, but not until they reset, not until I come back down, either test this support or keep coming up, come back down and test another broken resistance that holds a support. So the setups that I'm seeing right now are occurring on the Japanese yen pairs, whether it's the euro, Japanese yen, which not yet, the US dollar, Japanese yen, or the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen are showing me possible opportunities in the upcoming sessions. We'll look at the US dollar, Swiss franc. You know what? And you're going to find out I always am reviewing the trades. We look at them, and if I don't take them, I'm always reviewing the trades even that I don't take. Not just the trades I take. I'm reviewing all of the trades, and you can learn the most from trades you don't take. Really important. US dollar, oh, Swiss franc. We've been stuck in this range. You see this blue consolidation range for months. You can see prices again being rejected by the upper end of it. Again, I don't see a trade. For me, if you're the type of person who likes to play ranges, this is a ranging pair going on for several months, and you're just coming off the top of the range. I don't like it. You are right now, though, in the middle of this range where price is right now. You could see support going back to here. Support. You know, it's not strong. It is minor, but it's there. And price is coming, stalling out towards here right now, or could be. Just as on the DXY, you're seeing us entering that pocket of support zone coming up. Does this? I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like trading things that are sideways. Period. There's nothing here that I like on the US dollar, Swiss franc. I believe there are much more opportunities elsewhere. If the US dollar were to break out to the upside past this top of this blue box we have here, or the Swiss franc below it, then it gets interesting for me. Looks like the euro is trying to push even higher here. Again, there's no need to chase after it. We're just watching what is going to be developing in the future. And then when it presents itself, be able to go ahead and capitalize off it. We have to be aware again, probably smarter to wait what happens not only with the central bank, if they give any type of guidance that they're going to be on hold for a while too, we could start seeing, just want to prepare advance, some type of appreciation we've been seeing occurring in the New Zealand dollar. These two are fighting it out, the euro and the Australian dollar. Again, this pair is sideways and it's in a big congestion zone. There's really no advantage. If you start seeing a breakout to the downside of this blue box, then there's something we could look at for a nice trade. Right now, we just need to wait. This is coming up now, clearing this resistance here now, coming up towards this resistance up here. Again, we need to see what happens in the next 24 48 hours on the Australian dollar pairs, but it looks to be like setups are also developing and will be developing on those pairs. Finally seeing gold putting on some gains on the dollar. So we have the US dollar obviously weak across the board, but not versus the Canadian dollar. And it is trading still, the support is still holding this trend line support. If, as you're seeing the US dollar now come into all of these possible support areas, support here, you got on the US dollar, Japanese yen, the support down here, you have on the euro US dollar, the resistance it's at right now. And if you start seeing the dollar turn around here, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying if you start seeing that, I think the play is against the Canadian dollar. Then if you start seeing the dollar reverse itself at all, when it starts reversing itself, and if the support is still holding here, you have to look at that to the long side. So we're taking a top-down approach here, looking at the New Zealand dollar, euro, New Zealand dollar. And what do we see right now? Where is that support line? They really touched the support and bounce off it so far. Right now, we're seeing the euro, although New Zealand dollar has been strong, it is overstretched versus everything right now. This morning, that's what kind of theme is. And now we're seeing some euro strength picking up, especially off of what appears to be those dovish comments from Christine. And yeah, that's an interesting play, interesting setup developing. What does it look like on the 8-hour? Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. Yeah, I see the support that it's trading at. You could see it clearly on the daily. You see it playing out right here, also on the 8-hour. The supports are the same and resistance are the same on all time frames. This looks like this could be a trend that's coming to an end. I'm able to see, but it's very counter trend. It's a very counter trend trade. It's not something I'm interested in. I prefer, again, having things lined up a little more clearly. And this would be just really, it's not a clear edge to be looking to take a long here. Although you are trading down towards that support, I would wait for things to line up a little clearer than just trading it down because it tested a support. It is interesting, but I don't like it as far as I don't see a clear edge in my favor. Yes and no, Hanero. If you get right, you see that we're coming. Don't be in a rush to get into a trade, okay? Because they're gonna happen, and tomorrow's gonna be here, whether you like it or not, and time passes. Are you looking to take a trade here right now along? Not yet. The first opportunities to get long would be to see price resuming off of this support. This little move is not price, retracing off of the support. This is just normal price fluctuations. We're seeing a weak dollar for sure this morning, especially after the PMI numbers confirmed it. You know what you need to do, Hanero. What you need to do here is wait for price to make a higher high than the previous 8-hour price bar to get you back into that trade safely. That's not happening yet, right? It's not going to be happening. London would be the earliest that could happen. Again, you don't want to take this trade during Asia, right? Price is not going to make a higher high during this session. You don't want to take a trade during Asia just because it's low probability. Even if it works out, the odds are it won't. So your first opportunity to get long off of this support, of this double support, will be if price makes a higher high than the previous price bar during London. Absolutely. There it is, Hanera. We're starting to see now gold finally turn around a little. It was a moment ago. All right, the story gold is telling me, we're seeing a weak dollar, right, this morning across the board. And we're seeing certain pairs like the euro that are really making gains versus the dollar. But gold is not. With a weak dollar, gold is not making any gains. And with this is the reverse story of the US dollar, Canadian dollar, where the Canadian dollar is not making any gains versus a weak dollar. So if we are able to get any type of reversal in the dollar, this might be a good opportunity to actually short gold. You have the resistance right here. Price is not making it and holding above this small resistance you have over here. So if price now at this resistance level with the sign that with a weak dollar, gold is not making any gains, that if price starts reversing, it might be an opportunity to get short gold. Sure, I'd prefer that be up here. I would like a look at this resistance level, the stronger resistance level, and then price reject it and to get short gold. But you have to look at what's going on, and gold is not making any gains on the weak dollar this morning. So gold would have to regain this resistance level up here. The bulls would have to trade above 1479, 1480 to look to be going long again. If they were able to regain that level, then we're going to look for a successful test of this support. The broken resistance will be support. We have, $40 to the upside, $30-$40, which would be a fantastic, awesome trade to take a look at if bulls are able to regain that. But until then, we're looking to the short side. Right now, gold is not making any type of gains on the dollar. That could change, and then hopefully we get another look at this resistance, which I would like better. But if it's rejected down here and price starts reversing, taking a small position short gold to be a good trade to consider. I'm watching right here the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, similar to what we just looked at on the US dollar, Japanese yen. As we come back down and we're trading towards this trend line support down here, I'm going to watch how price reacts. It's also trading at this support here right now. If price retraces upwards, that's something to consider. Price would have to break outside this channel to the downside for me to even consider a short on the Japanese yen. Until this pattern breaks this current channel it's in, I'm considering it. I have to give it the benefit of the doubt that it's going to hold. That's also playing out on the euro Japanese yen. We need a successful test now of this broken resistance to begin looking for a long trade. You'll have the entry CCI pull back down on the test of this support. That's a solid trade to look for. If we get further euro appreciation, this could be leading the way. That one looks good. And then also the US dollar, Japanese yen, you're seeing also now in this channel, price coming back down and testing that. Those are the three setups that I'm seeing immediately occurring. Again, here, depending on what happens, I'm not taking it. I'm going to watch what happens though. And being that the dollar is trading at a bunch of support and resistance levels right now, this trend line is holding. If price resumes upwards, this wind up, you might see if the dollar starts reversing its weakness, I think you would see this really show here. You would see the largest gains coming against the Canadian dollar. I'm focused in on those yen pairs. I'm not going to be taking this trade. I'm going to watch and see if it develops, as I believe it will. Like we just discussed, you learn a lot from the trades you don't take. And even though we're not going to take all the trades just because we see them, we want to see how they play out. If this breaks to the downside, if we do see Canadian dollar strength pick up and this breaks down to the downside, we're not looking to short it, looking to see if we get a test of this double support down here in this uptrend. The euro, yeah, euro. Again, we're seeing a lot of indecisiveness on the pound right now. If you take a look at the dollar, this is what we're looking at. So we have this trend line over here. I can make it a little darker so that we could see it. All right, this is the trend line we're playing off of right now. We saw that it broke over here and then was rejected and fell all the way back into this channel where the bottom support held. And then the breakout was over here and it came back down and it tested this trend line. And this was interesting. This was interesting because I'm going to show you here on gold. Where's gold? Right. When you see this trend line break after several months, and then you see the retest of it and price holds successfully, that normally is the catalyst for a big move up. And is that developing right now on the euro British pound? It could be. We have the breakout again. We've had the test of the resistance twice, right? But it's not clear. Price is kind of sideways for a long time now, right? Since October. If we get above this resistance line over here at 0.867, at 0.87, then it looks like we might have a big move to the upside with a lot of possible potential. And that becomes really interesting. I was hoping that over here we had a possible preemptive entry into this, but things are just really too sideways right now. And I think that longer term, if we do reclaim that line, then things get interesting and we want to really be involved. But right now, it's just, I don't like it. It's just really, really sideways. What else? Is there anything else anyone's looking at that we should all be taking a look at? Hanero, the last thing I was talking about was the euro British pound. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about something else? On the dollar? So I mean, real quick, just to review on the dollar right now, we're seeing ever since we saw early in the session, we were seeing dollar weakness, especially in the euro. We're seeing definitely that continued after the PMI numbers, which were a little weaker than expected, and that's given reason for the dollar to continue to sell off a little bit. We are seeing, just so you're aware, that the dollar is stronger than the Canadian dollar. We're seeing this support hold. If the dollar is able to reverse its current weakness, you'll probably see this play out here in the US dollar, Canadian dollar first. However, we have other setups developing, right? We're seeing that on the US dollar, Japanese yen, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, and the euro, Japanese yen. These are ones that we like as we come closer to the support levels. This needs to pull back still a little further. You could get an entry as early as during London on this, possibly, as well as the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. The DXY, the dollar index, you are seeing us coming back towards this support zone over here, right? So you're seeing, what does that look like on the euro US dollar? You're seeing us running to this resistance area at the same time, right? So we're waiting for this to be rejected over here. We're waiting for a pullback. And then we're going to be looking, since this breakout of this channel, to go long here on the euro US dollar. We're getting a trend change right now that we're seeing. So we're looking for longs, but we're waiting for a bounce off of this resistance for things to reset a little bit. We're seeing here on gold that the dollar is with a weaker dollar, it's not making, gold is not putting on gains. That's also a sign that we could see the resumption of this downtrend that we're seeing on gold. Let's see if we can find. So you want to see the Dow Jones 30 though, huh? I don't know. Let's see if we can find that. I'm not familiar with it. I'm not even familiar with the Dow Jones 30. What's the ticker on that? Well, that's good to know. That's interesting to know that he is posturing towards increasing those December tariffs. I would like to see that personally. And we'll be really looking at yen pairs to break down out of these patterns that they've been in, whether it's this rising wedge, right? A breakdown of this pattern could provide some really good opportunity, as well as we're seeing them, these channels. This is nothing more than what looks to me to be like a bear flag. This downtrend, this looks like a continuation pattern setting up. Until it breaks, we're playing the pattern. But if it breaks down, there's going to be some really good opportunity What else? Just smoking pretty high right now. Over here, going back to the indexes, I know you're looking for I believe the Dow Jones 30. I need a ticker for that. I'm not familiar with it, but just, just my own 2 cents here is normally what you see if you were to see a breakdown, you would see, you see how this is a higher high? You normally are going to see a lower high. Similar to this pattern you see here, but this one be a lower high. And in the past, that's how the indexes have really collapsed. Let's say if we go back, let's see it really quick. We go back to 2007, right? Oh no, I got that backwards. It's what's happening right now in that daily. Oh, there's the lower high. But you have this prior. I will find the chart that's beautiful, and it shows on all the indices for the past like 7 or 8 tops. It shows what it looks like, and it looks exactly like this. You have actually this happen, this higher high followed by this lower high, and that's usually how they top out. It's really fun to look at, though. I will do my best to find that today so that we could just take a look at it. This is what we're looking at right now, the Dow Jones. Again, so right now the Federal Reserve is doing quantitative easing, whether they want to call it that or not, right? There's an enormous amount of liquidity being propped up by the central banks in the equity markets. Do not short them. That's crazy, in my opinion, right? Right now, again, there is an incredible amount of liquidity being injected into the markets. That's why you're seeing markets at all-time highs. And yeah, no matter what happens with the trade war and the news, ultimately, these markets trade off liquidity. And that's what you have to be watching right now. I would not. I think it's crazy to short them. It's so hard to make money shorting these things, right? The only time to short them is when they're really falling. All right. And unless they're really falling, they're not falling. So, I mean, so many people just lose so much money trying to short those things, selling puts on them. That's not where the money's to be made. Wanda has it. US 30. We'll look at Bitcoin in a minute. This is almost the same exact chart then as the Dow Jones, and that's probably because those things are so heavily weighted towards a few different instruments. But I'm seeing almost the same exact pattern as what we were looking at on the Dow Jones. Again, I know you're seeing this big candle today. It's really difficult trying to make money shorting the indexes. It doesn't make sense unless you're really good at it. And if you're really good at it, that means you have an enormous amount of patience being able to wait for those things to develop. And we'll see. I would assume you're going to need to see the job market and the consumer coming off before these things break down. And there's no question, right? When and if they do break down, we could see a 40, 50, 60% move on these things. But what's happening in the future, it seems to me, it looks like that the governments are getting, set towards a lot of spending. Even in Venezuela, as the Bolivia was being obliterated, you saw their indexes trading at all record highs, right? Because as the currency was devalued, you still saw the indexes trading at all-time highs. Just be careful. Awesome, Raj. Thank you. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Right? I mean, so there's not a cup and handle. What you're looking at though is this, right? You're seeing like the cup and then the handle. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. So anyone want to do the I don't think cup and handles occur at the bottom. That's bottoms of patterns, right? What do we have going on in Bitcoin though is, again, we do expect probably Bitcoin to trade slightly upwards all the way into May, where it should be trading around 11,400. I am confident on my prediction on that. What's happening right now is we expected this 6,500 to hold. We put out that video when Bitcoin was trading at 70,500. It's holding so far. This is really important level for Bitcoin to hold in between these two supports over here. I assume that it's going to. Again, there's really nothing happening on Bitcoin right now. It's not moving. We make a lot more money right now trading currencies priced in Bitcoin. And I don't expect now for the next 6-7 months for anything to be happening on Bitcoin, actually. I expect we're going to see a slow rise up until 11,400. If you want to go ahead and check out the Bitcoin halving video, if you haven't watched it yet, it's phenomenal. Do watch that. We trade Bitcoin on the 12-hour time frame, right? Using the true trend 333 period. You can find it here. It's the true trend BTC. This one right here, the true trend BTC. And simply, it'll keep you on the right side of Bitcoin, long or short. There are plenty of times where you could trade Bitcoin, day trade Bitcoin, and make serious money, because when markets are moving, they're fantastic to trade. Bitcoin's not moving right now. Bitcoin is not making big moves one way or the other. It's not the time to be day trading it. It's the time to be on the sidelines. It's really important to be able to diagnose the type of market you're in so that you can trade it. And when Bitcoin picks up after the halving, when Bitcoin starts making, it's going to be making some explosive moves. It's going to be the time to be trading Bitcoin. All right. It's not right now though, right? It's not doing that right now. It will be having these enormous monster moves, and you just got to be patient right now. The way to trade it right now is to know to be in it or out of it using the 12-hour true trend BTC, right? You should be on the sidelines ever since 8,500. So you're not even concerned. All right. Paul, what instrument are you talking about? Oh, here we go. Here we are, Paul. I'm with you now. 27,800. Is that where support is? Man, so I mean, we got strong support down here, all the way down here. We don't have much of anything going on up here. Let's look at this on the 8-hour time frame. Yeah, I mean, you are trading. This is not really strong support you got here. You had resistance. It was broken. It traded as support. It spiked. All this area is messy, and it was holding as resistance. So now you're at this slight support here. It looks like whatever moves are happening in the market probably have a little more room to go. And why do I say that? We'll come back to this. you have the DXY entering this area of support, right? But it's probably not going to hold up here. If it's cold, it's probably going to hold a little lower. The same thing's happening on the euro US dollar. We're trading at that resistance right now, but it's trading a little above it. And it looks like we got a little further to go before this resistance, if it's going to hold, is going to hold. It looks like on the US dollar, Japanese yen, that we have some more downside room to go. And the same thing here on, we're close to the support, but it looks like it's got some room before that's going to hold. The stronger support looks down here. Maybe that's the level you said. Yeah, it's not. It's a little below. This line right here at, I don't even know what numbers these are, 27,733. Looks like a much stronger area of support. 27,800. Is that what you said? No, a little lower than where you are. I see that definitely a stronger area of support. I think we still got a little way to go for this current momentum that's been holding to hold. Although, yeah, that's what we're going to see happen today. Yep, I see where you have it at 2,800. I think the line below is stronger. You see it? The resistance, support, and then kind of held down there. I just think it's a little lower than where you're seeing it. Either which way, if that's what you're looking to play, you have to figure out what time frame you're trading on and what is going to be a signal to you that price is bouncing off of there. How does price react, right? Is it going to stall out? If price is going to break the support, most likely it's going to break it with a lot of force. So watch what happens as you get close to this area, right? This whole area, watch what price does and how it reacts. That's the comment of the day, right? They never drop when everyone's looking for it. It's the truth. That's the trend line I see. I see the break all the way up there. If you could use postimages.org. Yep, postimages.org. You could upload a screenshot and then share it in the chat, so we could take a look at what anyone else is looking at any time. But if I were playing a trend line, that's what I'm looking at. So Paul, for clarity's sake, if you're able to upload to postimages.org a screenshot with the trend line you have drawn in, that would be awesome to take a look at together as well. We've got already the London close. I expect these moves to continue through the rest of the session. Obviously, during lunchtime in New York, probably see a little bit of retracements. But this is good because we're going to know pretty soon whether or not these supports hold or if they're broken, right? Probably during London, we'll have the opportunity to take a look at some entries here on the US dollar, Japanese yen, euro, Japanese yen. And also Canadian dollar. Yeah, there's a lot of momentum today. The momentum's clear. Don't want to be taking the other side of that. You just want to wait for a clear signal that either price is stalled out and then there's reversing. You don't want to play any type of like trying to catch a price that's going to, have a long wick down and then retrace all the way up. That does not appear to be happening. That does not appear to be the market. That what the momentum we have during this session really strongly looks like it's going to be continuing. So do not take any type of counter trend trades like that. If you do see price stalling out and reversing, it's probably not going to happen during this session, right? It could happen and that level could hold, but it's not happening right now, and it doesn't appear like it's going to happen. I do not expect any type of quick retracement. Of course, we could get any type of tweet or news announcement that as the price is near that technical level could do that and cause that. But outside of something, drastically changing right now in the equation, it does not look like price is going to be sharply retracing for any reason during this session. All right, everyone, that's a perfect place for us to end today's session. I loved our Monday session. I feel like it was really, really important for myself, seeing what's going on and developing. I really enjoyed everything all of you guys have brought to the table and shared with me. So I thank you for that. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I hope to see you tomorrow. Take care for now.